Hi everybody, I'm Loftus Viljoen from the Ngonyama Safari Club based in Pretoria, South Africa. We also have a business called Ngonyama Camper Rentals. Like all of you, COVID-19 has struck us very hard. We were in the middle of restructuring our off-road camper rental company when COVID-19 struck. We already knew in March 2020 that COVID-19 will have a devastating effect on the tourism industry, especially with the lockdown in place. We also told the tourism authorities that the lockdown would delay our business plans until Easter 2021. So, what do we do in the meantime? Well, one thing that we didn't do is go and sit in the corner and just start complaining. We decided to be proactive, think out of the box, and reinvent or rejuvenate certain parts of our business. That put a series of questions in motion. One of those questions we asked ourselves, have you ever been into the Etosha National Park? Well, I've done safaris all over Southern Africa, including Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, Malawi, and certain parts of Namibia, but I've never been into the Etosha National Parks. So when I talk about the Etosha National Park, images of elephants coated in a white dust spring to mind. Also, wildlife congregating at waterholes. As a wildlife photographer, this has been on my bucket list for many years. And during lockdown, we decided, let's give it a go in December 2020.
When I looked at the map of Namibia, I quickly made a rough estimate that we are talking of a roundabout trip of at least 6,000 kilometers from our home base in Pretoria. On a daily basis, I drive between 400 and 500 kilometers per day. So traveling is not my concern. My daily travel is to drive from point A to point B in the fastest manner possible. But when it comes to safari, I am not going to travel 6,000 kilometers as fast as I can. I am not one of those guys who will be touring all day and then rush from one campsite to another, often arriving late, do a rush setup of camp, and then early the next morning rise and rush to the next overnight stay, and then to claim that I have seen all the places along a 6,000 kilometer odd journey. I pause and spend time at certain locations. So when it comes to safari planning, we are looking at the 4 W's of safari planning, and they are what, where, when, and why. Those W's are the core elements of planning a safari and will form part of the series that we want to do. This is an introduction to the rest of the video series. Have you ever seen videos where they will tell you how long it took them to travel from one point to another, or what they have seen between those 2 points? Well, I have not, especially on the question of how long it took them to travel between 2 points. The first part of our planning will be route planning. That will include a cost calculation of how much fuel we expect to use and what it's going to cost and where we will refuel along the route. For that we have a spreadsheet where we also have our planning on the costs of overnight stays. In this video I have a sample of that spreadsheet. You can of course download the spreadsheets and planning documents from our website once we have finalized that. The web address you will see at the bottom of the screen. From a planning perspective, you need to determine what your goals or objectives are with your safari. For instance, I have already mentioned that I want to do wildlife photography, but getting to my end goal will mean that I will do along the way travel photography, landscape and nightscape photography, cultural, and even Milky Way and astrophotography. Each of those genres of photography will have its own challenges. Traveling from Pretoria to Johannesburg every day takes me about 40 minutes. However, traveling the same distance from Rakops to central Kalahari, for example in Botswana, could take me anything between 2 to 3 hours. Why? The reason for that is that the road between Johannesburg and Pretoria is a tarred highway and I can travel at 120 kilometers per hour. But the road between Rakops and central Kalahari is a twee-spoor sand and corrugated dirt road with a high middle manetjie, and sometimes traveling at 20 kilometers per hour is too fast. A couple of years ago, a lady who rented an off-road caravan from us thought I was mad when I told her that traveling more than 20 kilometers per hour from Moremi's South Gate to Shorobe in Botswana with our caravan is too fast. Surfaces and weather play a huge part of how fast you can travel from one place to another. You need to allow enough time for yourself to be able to travel between 2 points, and you need to have information on travel conditions beforehand. After checking out time, distance and initial costs on our original route, we saw that rather than opting to start the journey through Botswana, we could take another route which is in total only 500 kilometers or so longer, and that is going south and then enter Namibia via Ariamsvlei. This option will gives us more time to see and to experience the south of Namibia. We started off with planning one route and ended up planning 11 routes, where our final route we chose from. We'll tell you later more about this. Have you ever seen the wild horses of the Namib? I've done a story about them a couple of years ago and how they managed to survive the Namib desert for more than 100 years. That link you will also find in the comments below. Have you ever seen the Milky Way over the Fish River Canyon, or stars over the Quivertree Forest or Giant's Playground? Once you start these questions, it gives you a new and total new dynamic to your photography endeavors. You can ask the question as well, have you seen the ghost town of Kolmanskop, or seen the landscapes of the Tiras Mountains, or the changing colors of the sand dunes at Sossusvlei, or even the old cars at Cannon Roadhouse or Solitaire all along your way? When you ask these questions, you will see that suddenly the books come out, maps, and even Google, and you'll be surprised to see what you are missing out. If you think to use it to use a trip like this to do your photography, then you will know that there is a lot more to consider. For example, what type of camera are you going to use, or what type of lenses, or what genre of photography are you going to try? And for that we have also a separate planning video. Photography wise, I plan to be different at various places, so a lot will depend on the time that I am at my destination, and it will determine how long I'm going to stay there, and it will also tell us how to plan for travel between point A and point B. We are planning this trip solo, so we have planning sessions and documents for photography, as I have elaborated earlier. Then there's one for route planning and costings, which will include our fuel. Then there's one for recovery and emergency equipment, and then there's one for menus and food, which will include our water and liquids. After all, we are not doing this safari as punishment. We do it because we enjoy it, and therefore we need to plan to be self-sufficient for at least 10 days in the desert. Another aspect of planning would be our camping and camping equipment, and including the equipment we need to charge our batteries and equipment. And then the last one would be our 4x4 trails and off-road driving. In the end, we need to put the combined weight of all the equipment and gear together and see if we can take it along in our vehicle, or what alternatives we need to look for. If you want to know more about the Ngonyama Safari Club, please go to our Facebook page and like us. Thank you for watching. Tot ziens, till later. The Ngonyama Safari Club team.